podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
There's no question about that.
Well, we're back for another season of having the exact same moments that we have every week, twice a week, with the odd exception when United are occasionally good. Welcome back, everyone. Yay!
Woohoo, score. Yes. Did you enjoy your break, Paul? What have you been doing for the last 1 month and 2 days of break?
It was so nice. It was really lovely. I've been working hard, obviously, and apart from that, in my free time, mostly playing Fall Guys and watching cricket.
Playing what?
The two things. Fall Guys, which is the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time.
Very good.
It's about, I say it's good. It's very fun in its way. But yeah, and then the cricket, which was, mostly great.
Very entertaining. Yeah, some odd, hey, look, we could...
Rashid in the last over?
Makes no sense. It's like United chasing a goal and Ole putting on Phil Jones. Rashid's great bowler, number 1 or 2 spinner in T20, and I'm not sure where he ranks in the 50s, but yeah, odd decision. Anyway, it's a football podcast, not a cricket cast, and we'll throw that in just to confuse our many overseas listeners.
Yep. Sorry, everyone in America. But now we have to talk about... So, just behind the curtain, Ed was like, when are we doing the season preview? And I was like, can we just not? Can we just do the season preview after the Palace game? And partly, it was genuinely because the break was so short, and we didn't have a break. I don't even know if we had a break last summer. I can't remember last summer. I think we did, but yeah, it was a year. We did a year-long set of podcasts, basically without a break, and I needed one. But also, it was partly to see what happened in this game, because I felt like, and to give United a week more to maybe sign someone, because it might give us a better sense of what the season's going to be like. And I think it has given us a better sense of what the season's going to be like.
I feel when it comes down to this game that I'm willing to reserve some judgment. I know the world of social media will not do that in aggregate, but for most of these players, it's effectively their first pre-season game. There's some bad performances in here. Paul Pogba will get absolute pelters, I'm sure. So he's gone a month without playing, and he had COVID, which was why he didn't play for the France side. It's true of many of the others who didn't actually play in the West Brom game last week. So many of them, this is effectively their first pre-season game. And elite footballers, as we know from All or Nothing, because they talked about it quite a lot, lose an awful lot not having full contact fitness work and lose it very quickly. So that's why I'll reserve judgment. I don't think they were very sharp or fit. There are some were less sharp, or in fact you could say quite dense in their play during this game. Yeah,
I think you said West Brom, and we didn't play West Brom, did we? We played Villa. We haven't had another game as
West
well.
Brom,
yeah,
Villa,
did we played? No, I think we played West Brom in the lockdown, return from lockdown friendly. That's where
that's it. That's why I'm getting my brain is a fuzz as well, apparently.
Yeah. Well, listen, we haven't podcasted in anger in a month.
Exactly.
Either,
I've lost my sharpness.
Yeah,
it's definitely that. Not me getting on at all.
So I don't know. I've written a load of notes about this game because I thought the only way I can possibly say anything coherent about it is to write a load of notes, and then in the end, they're all just basically redundant. I completely agree about those caveats, and this applies to every single player that I'm about to absolutely slate, because every single one of them needs more match practice to be back at that level. But also, it's not that surprising that they were rubbish, because they're often rubbish. So Pogba, I think, doesn't come into that category. Luke Shaw, who's defending for the first goal, was highlighted on Sky Sports at half-time and is one of the worst things you will ever see. Like him with a circle round him, doing the hokey-cokey, in, out, sprint right at the end to make you look like you're trying. That was shocking. I thought Victor Lindelof was absolutely hot garbage in this game.
Yeah.
This is the third goal where he is just simply bullied off the ball with no real meaningful effort. I mean, that's just the worst of Lindelof, isn't it? And Gary Neville, much as I am very loath to agree with Gary Neville, said, you can talk all you like about Jadon Sancho, but until United sign a centre-back who can run, they're never going to win the Premier League. And he is not wrong about that.
No, United now have 8 centre-backs in the squad, most of whom are hot garbage. So it's we can... I guess we can be fair to Teden Mengi because, he's a kid, and Axel Tuanzebe who can't stay fit. So we'll push them to one side. Lindelof, Jones, Rojo and Smalling. I mean, would we lose anything if they weren't with the club tomorrow? Apart from the fact that we wouldn't sign a replacement. But, hey, that's a different story. There's an awful lot of trash there.
Yeah, and Harry Maguire. Who is
I'm not ranking
fine.
In the hot garbage, but who's fine. The only, I think sometimes that this is going to sound really unfair. The big difference between Lindelof and Maguire is that Lindelof back pedals at a rapid pace and Maguire back pedals at a very slow pace,
It's we haven't talked since. Me and you have talked, but we haven't talked in a public forum since Captain Harry Maguire was arrested in Mykonos for either shouting "F the Greek civilization" and "F the Greek police."
Yeah, it sounded that rang true, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine if it's true that Harry Maguire was arrested while shouting "F the Greek civilization." Just imagine that popping it into his head. I'm going to think about this in terms of Plato and Socrates and Aristophanes and all the big lads. Anyway.
Well, probably quite little lads, to be fair.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, and...
Not Ajax, though. He was a big lad.
You recommended a podcast over the summer called Fall of Civilizations. And
oh, yeah, it's so good.
Which is great fun. And I've been listening to that, thinking of that very quote.
F the Sumerians too!
Byzantium,
Greenland
down
Vikings.
with Byzantium.
Yeah, anyway, he's all right as a central. He's good at what he does as a central defender, but he needs someone alongside him that isn't Victor Lindelof. I mean, that is absolutely clear. Timothy Fosu-Mensah is not going to play a lot of games for United, so it's not really worth it analysing his performance, I don't think. He put in a couple of nice
I'm surprised
crosses.
he's still with the club. I mean, I guess there's still 3 weeks for him to not be with the club, and it wouldn't be surprising if he left because United are clearly a defender short, a fullback short, and I think the preference at the club, and we spoke about it at the end of last season, would be to bring in a left back who's competition for Luke Shaw or replaces him. And shift Brandon Williams over to the right to provide some sort of attacking variation to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Because Delot, they want out, clearly.
Yeah.
And Fosu-Mensah, he's probably not even a right-back, really. I know he spent a lot of his career there because he hasn't developed as a centre-back, but he hasn't developed as a right-back either, really.
No, just to reassure everyone, we are going to talk about transfers and the lack thereof, because I'm sure 7 minutes into the podcast or whatever it is, there were also already people going, "What about Sancho?" We will talk about this stuff. But partly as a result of the lack of transfer activity, Dan James started this game, and that shows that you can't always bank on United to sign the right players. Because that poor kid looks 1,000 miles out of his depth. And it turns out that signing players because they're quick and Ryan Giggs says they're a good lad is probably not a great scouting metric.
No, that's right. And look, the narrative around Dan James a year ago was quite positive. He'd scored 3 goals. It looked like United had got a bargain. Look how smart Ed Woodward was. We don't need a director of football because Ed Woodward is a genius. We know this because he or his PR people have told us many, many times. And now it looks very different because we've seen an awful lot of Dan James. It's not even as if he's had like 15 games or something. He's had a lot of football, and it looks well out of his depth. And I don't know whether he's got the tools to rise too much higher. I mean, he can certainly polish his game up with good coaching, the right preparation, and all of that. But right now, running into blind alleys, turning around, and then giving the ball away, it's not doing him or the club very much good at all.
Someone pointed out after our season review that it was probably really harsh to not mention the fact that he got a move to Manchester United, was kind of over-promoted because of the lack of squad depth, and his father died just before he moved to United, and that's absolutely all very well taken. And it was really, I think, like personally, I felt like it was very remiss of not to mention that his father had died just before he moved, because it's such a huge thing and he's so young to experience something like that. And that's all completely taken into account. And he, like I said, he does seem to be an absolutely lovely kid. Like, everyone speaks super highly of him. Whenever you see him on social media, he just seems genuinely like a good lad. But he's never, I mean, like you say, there was some positive narrative around him. He scored a couple of good goals, a couple of slightly streaky ones as well. And then it just all fell off a cliff, and it hasn't got anywhere near coming back up the cliff. And of course, he's also played out of position almost all the time.
Because he played for Wales a couple of weeks ago. What I saw of him in that one, he looked lively actually. He played off the left, and it's clearly a more comfortable position for him. He is not a heels on the touchline, getting chalk on the boots and whipping across kind of player. He's an inside-out forward in a very modern way. He might not be a very good one, but that's where he wants to play, and that would give him a better chance of succeeding. That's, of course, where Marcus Rashford is playing. So, maybe he could be back up there, I suppose.
So the first 15 minutes, Palace were all over United. The goal was a disgrace, and just Luke Shaw, Lindelof, awful all round. Then, so for the first 15 minutes, we couldn't keep the ball. And then for the next 15 minutes, or 20 minutes actually, we kept the ball and couldn't do anything with it because their 4-4-2 deep block was very effective. Neville pointed this out as well, that it didn't do the thing that often deep blocks do, which is turn into a back six. The midfield bank of four was very distinct. I mean, this is classic Hodgson, isn't it? And United just not on it. Fernandes loose, Pogba loose, and the front three. Martial looked quite bright in the first half, but died a death in the second. Rashford, no meaningful contribution to the game. Dan James. Fullbacks, I mean, there was one really nice cross in the second half from Fosu Mensah to Greenwood, but nothing in the first. Just an awful half of football, really. Yeah,
I mean, extremely disjointed. None of our creative players could get on the ball or find even within that disjointed performance, find a pass. The movement up front was it wasn't great. I know you wanted to be fair to Martial. Rashford looked, like a player who hasn't played for some time, still finding his feet still, I think. Didn't play the England games because of injury. Wasn't quite fit enough to play them, apparently. And so, I mean, it didn't look good going forward, and it was a hot mess at the back. And like, the fullback thing, I bored myself talking about it. It's definitely a problem. And Gary Neville talked about it this week, actually. He talked about Aaron Wan-Bissaka in particular, saying, who didn't play today because he hasn't had much training, because he went to Dubai and had to isolate for 2 weeks. Yeah, sensible. Going along with our fantastic summer. And saying, you might be able to get a bit more out of Wan-Bissaka, but he's a throwback. He's an old-fashioned fullback. And basically making, I think, sort of part of your argument when I'm comparing him to Trent Alexander-Arnold and saying, look, it's unfair, he's not that player, which is true, he's not that player. But it is a problem for United in this particular formation where you don't have attacking fullbacks because we don't have any wingers either, which I'm sure is part of the reason why Sancho is Ollie's priority. Maybe not Ed Woodward's priority, but Ollie's.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. I don't want to, Not because I don't want to talk about it, but because it's just so predictable and depressing. Anyway, yeah. I've written a note here, 53 minutes, Townsend shot, but if Zaha had been more composed, United would have been in massive trouble. And they just kept getting caught on the counter. There was a nice moment with that cross that I mentioned with the Greenwood header. Really nice long pass from Bruno that found a good run from Mason. A nice backheel to Martial, but he cut it into empty space. There was the flick on from McTominay.
There were a few sharp moments for Mason. He didn't get involved in the game very much, but when they got him the ball, I mean, it was the most obvious sub ever, wasn't it? When they put him on at half time. I mean, how could they not? Mason, who also has had not much training because he had to isolate after acquiring a couple of local ladies from Iceland off Tinder.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as part of our roundup.
I mean, the kind of choices one makes when they're 18, I'm sure we made... we might have done that if we'd had Tinder at 18. We certainly did a lot of other stupid stuff.
Mostly exclusively stupid stuff.
Yep.
Talking of stupid stuff, let's talk about football being played in a stadium with no fans while robots make the decisions.
Oh.
This furore around this penalty sort of broke my heart, because watching football without fans in the stadium is wearing thin, like very much wearing thin at this point. And if it goes on much longer, football loses something very... I mean, it's such a massive thing. And then to have that the further sort of, I don't know, the odd kind of pedant perfectionism that VAR has brought in. Like, I'm not intensely averse to the idea that massive howler errors that everyone in the world can see because these games are being recorded, that there should be some recourse. And I don't know where the line is. I don't know how you do that. But what I do know is the frame-by-frame analysis that led to that penalty decision was just stupid.
Yeah.
Like, Victor Lindelof's... I mean, as far as I understand it, that, in my opinion, should not have been a handball, because his silhouette is not unnatural. His arm is raised because he's running. That's a natural movement.
Well, I don't think that's how they define natural, and his arm's at a right angle. I think that's the problem. So, I mean, look, I fully agree with you. I think this is stupid, and to give that as a penalty under the old rules would almost certainly, the referee would have decided, look, he can't do much about that. Yeah, he's not that far away from it. He's running. He's not trying to block a goal-scoring opportunity there. Let's just be grown-ups and move on with the game. And the law, the new handball, well, it's new, isn't it? Because it's been reinterpreted again this summer. Doesn't allow for that. So you've got two very binary parts of handball now. If it's out of the normal silhouette, which is hands basically by your side. Yeah, normal standing silhouette. And if it's below the t-shirt line, and if I was a footballer, I'd be wearing very long sleeves now. It's going to be a penalty, and it feels very mechanical. And you know, I'd hoped a lot for the VAR monitor to bring some sense that you could. Then the referee could go, okay, I can make an interpretation. It's going to make the referee better. You know, in the way that we talked about cricket earlier. The DRS system, for the most part, worked really well. I mean, there's some weird marginal calls around whether it's umpire's call or not that just feel a bit odd, because you can get the same decision going two different ways depending. But for the most part, works really well in enhancing the quality of the umpires, and that's why they all accept it. And I thought the monitor would help do that, right? So it's a tool the referee can use to make himself better. But when you have this kind of, binary interpretation of a rule, and it has to be this, it's hard for the referee to do that then. And so, yes, it was very hard. And it's the same with the save, really. I mean, he's off the line. There were a few angles. He's apparently both feet have to be, or at least one foot has to be on the line, not in line with the line, has to be on it. So which is, again, a weird way of stating the rule, because if it was the ball, it's over the line or not over the line, whether it's on the ground or in the air. So has De Gea really gained an advantage from his foot being raised rather than being down, that back foot? But that's that's the way the law's interpreted now.
It was so exciting when he saved it after the nonsense of the penalty. And by the way, I think one of the tweaks that should absolutely be made is that when the referee, you can only use slow motion to establish whether the ball's hit the hand, and then you have to watch it in fast motion. You can't watch the incident in slow motion to make your decision, because the difference is so enormous with handballs. I mean, we talked about the one in the World Cup final, which I was supporting France, so I was jokingly saying that was a perfectly legitimate decision. But
I think the reason why a referee would, just to put their argument here, would say it doesn't matter is because the law is so binary. If it's not by his side the arm, it's blocked the ball, whether it's going at 2 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour.
So dumb that the language is natural silhouette, because natural.
Yeah, but then they have a bunch of
pictures,
text.
So dumb. Anyway, and it's not just about VAR. VAR enhances the feeling of awful pedantry that comes from the way the law is. And I guess the law is sort of trying to be written in a VAR universe, isn't it? It's trying to... Anyway, it was just horrible. That's the point. Obviously, it negatively affected Man United, and that was horrible about it for us. And we'd got back into the game by that point. Oh, no, we hadn't. That was when we'd got back in the game in terms of kind of looking like we might do something, but Palace had looked dangerous on the counter too. But it just felt soulless, really, really soulless. And football does feel soulless without crowds. And the summer has felt incredibly soulless. You've got, we'll talk about this in a sec, but anyway, it was horrible. Yeah,
look, there were some crowds at Championship and League One games today. I think they were running at 15% or something like that. There's been a few tests. They've been back in France for a while now because Ligue 1 started sort of on time because they cancelled the previous season. I don't know that it's really enhancing the atmosphere much to have such a sparsely populated crowd. There was that awful story emanating out of Tottenham that they were going to give the 4,000 or so tickets they thought they could get the license for to their best customers. Best. I'm doing air quotes here. The highest paying customers, of course. Classic football. I'm sure United would do exactly the same thing if they get allowed to do 4,000 to 6,000 fans. But so look, maybe there's hope on the horizon. Maybe, although with COVID cases rising so fast in the UK, there probably isn't.
That's so I'm not saying get fans back in stadiums now. I'm just talking about in the circumstances. The circumstances suck.
Look, I fully agree. Football is about fans being there, and of course, football is back because it's also about business for the clubs. But what's the point if the fans aren't there? Much in the same way that someone who'll argue, and there are many of them, that it's just business for the Glazer family, don't get the point that football is not just business and has never been, and is why in many countries around Europe you have the kind of socio or fan ownership model ingrained into law, because it's not. So fans are vitally important, with each passing week, while I enjoy from a certain perspective watching the football, it is definitely not the same with fans there, and the fake crowd noise doesn't make me believe that they are there. But we've done that one to death as well.
And another sad moment that the fans weren't there to make the noise they would have made when Donny van der Beek came on, first of all, and when he scored, because lovely debut from him. So during the summer, in the 1 month and 2 days between the last time we podcasted and today, I talked to Elko Born, Ajax fan and Dutch football writer, written for Guardian and BBC and all these big people like this. And I talked to him at length about what kind of player Van der Beek is, and that's all archived on our Instagram if you want to go and watch an in-depth breakdown of Donny van der Beek. But he's an attacking midfielder who likes to break beyond the ball and make third man runs and
get goals.
Yeah, and has really good composure in front of goal. Clearly, lovely finish.
Yeah, look, I think it's. I saw some commentary about this, mainly from pundits rather than fans, saying, "Well, how's he going to fit into the side with Fernandes and Bruno?" Look, if United is successful, it's going to be a 60-game season squeezed into 5 weeks less than normal. So he's going to get a lot of games, and I think it was a very sensible purchase. We now have a potentially very, very good selection of midfielders, nicely balanced. And it's the one area of the pitch that we're pretty strong, Noted that no one had a good game today, but ... think it's a very good purchase at a COVID price, and smoothed over by Red Agent Edwin van der Sar, so there was no drama about it. And I'm sure he'll do very well at United, because he's not only did he score goals and create a decent amount, but he's got loads of energy, and I think the fans will take to him really well. So he did great in Ajax's run in the Champions League a couple of years ago, which is where many people have seen him. I thought he put obviously didn't capture the same sort of headlines as Frankie de Jong, for example, alongside him in midfield, but was equally as important to that Ajax system.
Yeah, I don't think it's a wonderful signing and an absolutely terrible signing to be our only signing of the season. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's like in and of itself a wonderful signing. I thought Ole made a massive howler at this point. I thought bringing on Ighalo for Fosu-Mensah, putting McTominay to fullback, meaning that Van der Beek, who'd been basically playing as a completely free attacking midfielder, was now one of a two alongside Fernandes. It relied on us having the ball a lot, and it meant that any counter-attack would be just like, there was no resistance to counter-attacks other than Fernandes tracking back and tackling, which he's obviously very good at. I mean tracking back from losing the ball with him in front of the ball.
Sure, yeah. I didn't really see the value in losing Fosu-Mensah and putting McTominay there. I mean, it's not like he's going to be making overlapping runs. I mean, if United had gone to a 3, perhaps, and just gone a bit more direct, then Van der Beek could have latched on to those sort of, the third man runs would have been pretty useful, actually. So I didn't really get the tactics if you're going to throw a Hail Mary at the end. But, United were really very limp by the end anyway.
Yeah, but this was at 2-1. Like this was when we weren't limp at all. So I thought that a big part of the reason that they were able to counterattack so easily was I just think that was a really dumb throw of the dice. We talked about this a bit with maybe Mourinho. I can't remember. It's something we've talked about a lot, that just the idea that when you take off a defender for a forward, you're making the team more attacking, which isn't always true if you kind of remove the structural ability to get the ball forward. And then you're basically, you're playing 4-2-4, and the two in the middle you're really playing 4-6, basically.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. So, that's why you have to go a bit more direct if you're going to do that. Yeah, it certainly didn't work for United. So no. Palace were able to counter, and that's what they demonstrated they can do. Zaha had his one good game of the season against us again.
I wrote a note that's really mean, but I can't deny that I made myself laugh when I wrote it. But I wrote that Ighalo's first contribution is to look like he doesn't know how legs work. We had the ball. There was a really nice pattern of play, and it came to Ighalo in the D, and he just sort of moved his legs from side to side and fell over. Hey, we know what Ighalo's offers some stuff, but maybe not the man for the moment.
We should talk about Patrice Evra assessment of Wilfried Zaha's time at Manchester United. What do you think about that analysis?
Well, there was this big rumour at the time that he'd slept with David Moyes' daughter, and I always thought that was a joke that had got out of hand. Like, what's he done? Slept with the boss's daughter or something? And then Patrice is just putting it out in the streets like, no, actually, that's literally what happened. There's a moment where
Stone
he says,
Cold leaked it.
He played every game in pre-season, and then he slept with David Moyes' daughter, and he never really got into the team.
Had an affair. He had this affair.
Had this affair, is what he says. And then, was it Kelly Cates said, well, we don't know the full story behind that, of course, with a kind of like everyone, she was trying not to laugh, I think. And then Patrice is like there grinning, like I know the full story. But apparently he said also that he's not fully sure. And if he's not fully sure, it's bang out of order to say that on television. But anyway.
Well, he's just trying to walk it back at that stage, yes. Kids, don't nail the boss's daughter. It's never going to work out for you.
It's not
Life
generally
advice.
a good... Yeah, not generally a great idea. Yeah, listen, it's hard not to be really critical of United because the performance was abject, in both ends of the pitch. There were little moments where some of the attacking quality was clear, very few moments where the defensive quality looked clear.
Anything notable? I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, De Gea didn't make an awful rick, although he contributed to Palace's goal in the first phase by distributing poorly along the ground. So McTominay got around the pitch. He did okay. I mean, he made a few tackles.
McTominay got around the pitch. That's where we're at, people.
Anything
notable?
No, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, the thing that I was going to go on to say is just all of this has to be heavily caveated. I think this will be one of United's worst performances this season. I think it'll be in the bottom.
I'm comfortable with. I think our problem is, of course, we all know there are holes in this squad and there's a lack of quality in depth. And this season, with the Champions League, Ole's not going to be able to rest them like he did in the Europa League. And we got a month short. And so those weaknesses are going to be horribly exposed at some point in this season. We might not see it for the first couple of months. You know, with this performance, I think we can put down to them being undercooked and underprepared. And, you know, hopefully it gets better over the next couple of months. At some point, we're going to be exposed because Ole tried to get away with it post-lockdown by playing the same team every week, and they burnt out by the end. And that was only, 15 matches or something. Imagine it after 50. It's going to be horrendous. So that's our problem, you know. But net was slightly better than last season because, you know, Van der Beek adds a different dimension for Pogba if he's injured or Bruno if he's knackered. Right?
Let's take a quick break and then talk about all that stuff. If you want more from the show in between shows, check us out on the socials. We are NQAT Pod on Instagram, Ed's at NQAT Pod on Twitter, and we are under our real names on Facebook at No Question About That. Right, so Donny, it's a fantastic signing. Like I said in the first half of the show, an absolutely fantastic signing in a vacuum. Not at the Van Persie level, but similar to the Van Persie season where you're looking at it going, is that what we need? I mean, I definitely think, well, like you said, we definitely need Van der Beek because otherwise Lingard or Pereira play a lot of games and nobody wants that. Apart from maybe them, I guess. I mean, hopefully, I know...
Pereira played over 30 games last season. I mean, it can't be right? No. And so did Daniel James.
Lingard, I still have weird hope for, but let's not have that debate now.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Listen, that's just how it is. The summer so far, and there's 3 weeks of the transfer window left or whatever, has been an unmitigated, entirely predictable, absolute disaster. And the disgusting PR, and these journalists should be absolutely ashamed of themselves, the journalists getting fed the Ashton lines. And I know they need to do it because they're like, well, if we don't run these stories, we ain't getting the juicy tidbits that will get us 1 billion clicks. But the PR has been offensive, and it's culminated in this. I've got a little rant here. Just give me
Go for it.
The club saying they are upset about the toxic feeling around the club on social media. I think it's very important for us to hold two distinct thoughts in our heads at the same time. Something that we should just call this show two different thoughts at the same time, because we talk about it all the time. But social media is disgustingly toxic. The culture around United on social media in generality, social media meaning Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the works, like wherever, Reddit, wherever these things are discussed, there is I wouldn't say a minority, I would say a majority of just outright ugly toxicity. But that thought is distinct from United are an absolute disgrace, make the same incredibly obvious errors, and then try and tell us they're not year after year after year. So guess what? We are annoyed with you, you stupid... Like, Ed Woodward should resign. Like, in every possible metric of his job, every metric, even the one he's supposed to be good at.
Even the financial ones, yes.
He should resign.
He should, yes. I can't say who, but I work for a company where leadership is even more toxic. But I only work for them for another 10 days or so. And then I can say whatever the... actually, I can't. Anyway, yes, no, look, I agree with everything you've said there. Look, just little perspective on this. Part of the reason, and you know, sorry for the Orwellian doublespeak, but part of the reason why they are so offended is because they like to talk about their social media reach all of the time in the investor calls. We'll probably have one next week. I don't think it's been confirmed, but the full year results are typically out near the end of September, so I'd imagine so. And I have no doubt at some point that Woodward or the CFO, Batty, will be talking about how many clicks, likes, shares or views there were of Donny van de Beek's introduction, low key that it was, you know. So they live by that, right? Social media is an important channel for their reach, for selling sponsorships, which right now are a real premium, and United are about to lose, depending on how the Forex goes, between 75 and 80 million pounds a year when the Chevrolet deal is up next summer in the middle of the worst recession in 100 years, right? So, you know, that's your context. They are bricking it. They are bricking it about the financials, I'm sure. And United, and as we talked about at the end of last season, should be in a very strong position because of all that money, right? But they're looking down the road going, we've got a problem here. You know, we have a lot of liabilities in terms of transfer fees still owed and a huge amount of wages on the books. And we can't shift those players because who is going to pick up Phil Jones at 150k a week? And so we've got a real problem. So this is where isn't it unfair how people are mean to us on social media line comes from.
It makes me so
live by the
angry.
sword, you die by the sword, Ed, and and so he should.
It's so pernicious. It's like, I don't want to get excessively existential about this, but it's almost like, I think the reason it makes me so, like, I have a very emotional response to reading Woodward saying that. I mean, he didn't literally say it, but whatever, reading The Club, and we all know what The Club means nowadays. It's disgusting. It's disgusting to turn around and attack the fans. And it's talk about Orwellian doublespeak. I mean, we are living in 1984, essentially. I mean, not quite, but
not far off.
The path between here and there is pretty straightforward to navigate. The temerity of a person who has destroyed this club's reputation, you know, the journalist Julien Laurence, the French journalist that does BT Sport panel stuff, really good. He did a brilliant thing. He was talking to Marcotti, and he said they were interested in Gabriel, and he was being extremely definitive, because this is the thing that and there are a collection of United fans who buy into this too. None of these journalists know anything. They're just linking us to players for clicks. Like, no, there are plenty of journalists. Well, actually, none of the journalists are just linking United to players for clicks. The websites are, and the churn is, and that happens.
Sure.
But when there's a story that's like over and over again coming like to the surface, these aren't being made up for clicks. These are agents talking, players talking, clubs talking. It's actually happening. United aren't not interested in signing Jadon Sancho. You know, they're doing the thing where they're like, oh, we'd like to buy Jadon Sancho. How much? 120 million, please. Oh, will you take 50? Would you take a quick 50 million? I got it right here for you right now.
Yeah.
And then 60 and 70 and 80, and they don't understand what does Ed Woodward think is going to happen?
No, look, I mean, for sure. Look, the way most journalists work is they have a range of sources. Some are agents, some are club officials, some are the officials of other clubs, and they're piecing together a picture, a puzzle in a bit of a fog, right? And they're trying to do that. And for the most part, I think you're right. The better journalists, and I hate this kind of ranking system we get now, which is based not on their propensity to try and do good journalism, which is about trying to find information. Things change, right? But on how accurate the information turned out to be down the line. Because I think in terms of like doing deals when they fall apart all the time, or the thing that the agent said that this club wants this player was true information, but it didn't work out, right? So I think for the most part, I don't buy into that kind of narrative that they're all faking it for clicks. I mean, sure, there is some nonsense, but you can usually pick that out from the headline, right? And you just ignore that one. And yes, to get onto the substance of the Sancho piece and any other pieces, United are short on cash right now. Undoubtedly, there's no doubt that United's net cash at hand is significantly lower than we would like it to be, or the powers that be would like it to be. They've had a revolving credit line since they took out the bonds in 2010, and then had an extended credit line when they refinanced them in 2017, right? So that's always been there, but there's a lot of talk about that this summer. They've done that because who knows how bad it gets, right? If we don't have fans in stadiums for the next year, United will lose out on 150 million in matchday revenue, something like that. So it could be really bad. But for sure, they've taken that and they've gone to Borussia Dortmund and they've said, well, you're probably hurting more than us. Therefore, we expect you to take a big discount. And it seems that the Dortmund are quite prepared to. They must feel that their finances are not desperate enough this summer, and they will be able to create a market that is better next summer. That may well not turn out to be true, but it's unlikely to be worse than now for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned 150 million in lost matchday revenue, and also like every game that's played behind closed doors is eroding football's brand value, because this product that's currently being offered is not anywhere near the same level of drama and excitement. And there's been some great games, and we this United, well, I guess if you're a true neutral, you probably quite enjoyed United huffing and puffing and Palace smashing them on the counter attack. But we've seen some good games: Liverpool Leeds and Leeds Fulham, and Everton West Brom was a good game today. But like, they're empty. They're good games, but there's an emptiness to them, and that's going to affect the bottom line of how much TV companies will be prepared to spend, and and how much people are going to be. We know that the economic outlook is bleak, but yeah, it's not just Sancho, of course. That it's been a summer of classic failure. I mean, so the deal that seemed to be somewhat likely was the Reguilon. Sorry about pronunciation. The only thing I know is that the emphasis should be on the I in Reguilon, because that's what accents mean in Spanish. Because I've got a 520-day Duolingo streak going. Nice. But I still can't pronounce Reguilon. He's signed for Spurs.
I think you were good with the last one. I'm
Reguilon?
sure it's like Reguilon or something like
Reguilon.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's someone else's problem because he's signed by Spurs. And I have to say, if it's true that the reason that United didn't sign him is because there was a buyback clause, I have to say it for once. I'm
at 40 million euros. Yeah.
I mean, that's just United can't be getting players on an extended loan from Real Madrid.
No. I mean, it's a free extended loan basically. When you do that, it send an awful signal out to the market. There are other left backs. As good as he is going forward, he's not a very good defender, but he's good going forward.
I have to say I'm in a minority in that I would have been quite excited if we signed Gareth Bale, but he's injured for 4 weeks already, apparently. It is very funny that he's gone back to Tottenham because he's sick of a really toxic, miserable environment for him. And so he's going into what we literally all know, because we've all seen it, is an unbelievably miserable, toxic environment.
This may have staved off the meltdown at Tottenham Hotspur, I suppose, because Jose's got the left back, his fifth left back at the club. Goodbye, Danny Rose, I'd say.
He's gone already.
He's gone already. Yeah, he's got another. Where's he gone to? I missed it.
Can't remember. Someone not very good. Not Milan.
Yeah.
I really liked All or Nothing. We could talk about that later.
So, yeah, and then he's got a forward that he wanted, and to add to his many attacking forward options they have at the club, but another forward if Kane breaks down again. Maybe it'll stave off the meltdown for a bit longer.
I saw someone tweet that Kane, Son, Bale is the best front three in the Premier League, and I was like, well, it's a thought to myself. Even if that is true, which I think it's highly arguable, but even if it is true, it's a shame they've got the worst manager of attackers in the Premier League. The single worst. There isn't a worse manager for an attacker. I would play for if I was a striker or a forward, I would choose literally any other club in the league over Tottenham. Anyway, there's currently we're linked to Alex Telles. The United have agreed personal terms, which is so funny. We're really good at that.
Awesome. Yes. The other part of that story that did make me laugh, that United were unprepared to pay the 20 million euros fee, which works out about 17 million pounds.
20 million? We're not what? Oh God. Ed Woodward is so staggeringly bad at his job. And so, this is an assumption and a very unkind one, but I can't see another reason for this. So unbelievably wrapped up in his own sense of himself, because I don't know how it can only be about the maintenance of power. I can't see any other reason.
I think it is about that. It's the maintenance of his own power, but it's also a technical director for football, head of acquisition, whatever, that kind of role. If that's what most clubs have, or at least they have someone whose job it is full time to get these deals over the line. The Monchi figure. Someone worth his salt would ask very difficult questions. About how the Glazers' business model works and whether they're really serious about improving year on year.
And this is one of the key things that has been pointed out in numerous places, which is that almost the worst thing that can happen to United from a fan's perspective is getting into the Champions League, because this is the point at which the Glazers go, well, we invest when we're out of the Champions League, they'll put a massive amount of money, and they have. This is, we'll see if it's a small sample size, but it's been the summers where we've not been in the Champions League where the big money signings have come in, and the ones where we have been in the Champions League where they've been like, we'll probably get by, because you've been saying this since 2005. The model needs us to be top four to work for them, and it's very depressing. Covering United in that way. It
is. There was an interesting thread you may have seen on social media. It did the rounds, and I've forgotten the handle. Sorry. Talking about various covenants on United's bond. So as I said, they refinanced in 2017. It's a $865 million bond. Quite a low ticker, actually. I was looking it up, 3% and a bit, which is actually very expensive right now, but at the time looked good. And whether that was causing United to be circumspect about transfers because they have to make a certain amount of free cash flow or EBITDA in order to meet the terms of those covenants. I personally didn't buy the argument, because I think actually right now would be a perfect time to refinance again, and we're probably going to negative interest rates in probably in the UK, maybe even the Fed would do it in the States as well. So money is cheaper than free. Very good time to refinance, even in difficult circumstances. The gamble is whether you can get enough people to buy your bonds, but I think United is safe bet, so you probably would. So I don't think that's the issue. I actually think cash is a real issue for United. I just don't think there's much cash. And this is why they'll be trying to structure deals. And they just can't get rid of players. And like we saw last summer when Maguire was signed within milliseconds of Lukaku going. I actually don't know what the distance was, but basically they pulled the trigger for the number that was mentioned all along. If United could get rid of a few players, I don't think they're going to make up 120 million euros worth of sales, but if they get rid of a few, they may pull the trigger. But it seems unlikely.
And the reason they can't get rid of anyone is because Ed Woodward is spectacularly terrible at his job. That's the thing. Like, the players that United have that have any value can't be shifted because they're not... I mean, the players could choose to say, well, I'll take a 50% pay cut to play every week. But that's what they have to do. We didn't talk about Alexis Sanchez, who's gone. Some bright moment in the summer
so long
of
ago,
misery.
I'd forgotten. Yes.
He gave an interview to say that the day he got to United's training ground the first time round, he was like, "Oh no, can I tear up my contract? Can I go back to Arsenal?" I mean, it was a much more measured interview than that headline sounded, and he talked about like loving playing for the fans and all that stuff, but just that the culture at the club wasn't great at the time. And guess what? Like, everyone hates Alexis Sanchez and he's an evil snake, all that for saying that. But how about the culture at the club at the time was absolutely disgustingly toxic. And, I've just watched a 9-part documentary confirming why somebody might come into this club and go, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Yes. Yes. So look, we've got another 3 weeks to talk about transfers, no doubt. I can't say I'm that hopeful of anything big happening on the Sancho front. Looking at Dortmund's collection of very exciting attackers right now. Reina, I think they started Sancho, Haaland, Reina with Jude Bellingham in midfield today. And they may well be thinking, hey, we hang on to all these players. We might have a shot at winning the Bundesliga. Maybe.
But Bayern won 8-0 yesterday.
Yes,
so,
yes. With probably just while we're on it, the sickest of sick Rabona assists from Lewandowski.
Absolutely beautiful. And Dortmund won 3-0 today. So, Sancho's like looking across going, Anyway. I hope we sign a left back. I really, really hope we sign a left back. I really wish we were linked with loads of brilliant centre backs. I really wish we were linked with a defensive midfielder. But United can only do one deal at a time, and they can't even do one deal. I mean, they did the Van der Beek deal, but literally because, like, an actual Manchester United legend is the chief executive at Ajax, and Ajax's whole culture is like develop players and then let them move on to bigger things.
Yeah.
So,
I think Ed said, "This is Edwin." Said Ed, I'll do this one for you.
Yeah,
it's free. Well, not literally, but my time,
Sack Ed Woodward and get Edward van der Sar into that job would be 1,000 times.
It would be a significant upgrade, wouldn't it?
But you make a really good point, which is that we have a massive pop at Woodward, and rightly so. He is a symptom of the actual problem. I mean, literally, because he wouldn't have that job in a million years if it wasn't for the people that own the club. And, it's been 15 years of Glazer ownership, and half of that time has been harvesting the fruit that was sown in the first half of that time, basically.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The bitter
anyway,
fruit.
let's take a break from all this negativity because we've got another 9 months to pour this out. We don't want to blow our load in one go. And let's come back and talk about some signings that have been made at the club for the women's team.
If you want more from the show in between shows, check us out on the socials. We are NQAT Pod on Instagram, Ed's at NQAT Pod on Twitter, and we are under our real names on Facebook at No Question About That.
So United women who started the season with a very creditable draw against champions Chelsea. It's been an interesting time in the women's summer because there has been a summer because they cancelled the season, didn't finish it, awarded the title to Chelsea. Just a few games to go. We mentioned some of the signings that United already made. So they've made 6 this summer, including Tobin Heath and Kristen Press, US Women's World and Olympic champions, Ballon d'Or nominees, two slightly older but hugely talented players, and then a bunch of younger players as well. And so been a really busy summer. And I guess the goal for the women's team is to try and get as close to that top three of Chelsea, City and Arsenal as possible. The problem there is, of course, that those teams have been in the middle of quite a bit of an arms race, especially Chelsea and City. City lost quite a few players, but have been bringing loads in, including England legend Lucy Bronze, and then City signed Sam Kerr, Australian forward, and Pernille Harder for a world record fee, which I believe was £350,000, which might not sound much, but is a huge amount in the women's game.
Yeah, and it sets it into context, doesn't it? And you wonder why United can do all these deals, and it's because they don't cost very much money in relative terms to the men's game. Lucy Bronze, you mentioned, is interesting because she kind of clearly loved being at Man City and moved to Lyon to win the Champions League, and then I think I think it's 2 in a row she won, because I think she was there for 2 seasons, and obviously that means Lyon won 2 Champions Leagues. The Lyon Wolfsburg final was there were moments where Wolfsburg looked like they might be in the game, but that is an awful lot of concentrated talent in one club.
It is. Well, they decided to invest, and now the Women's Super League over here in England is deciding to invest too. So it's probably the strongest league in the world right now, and especially with the soccer league over in the States basically on hiatus, really short season. That's why there's so many of the US women's national team players coming over for short-term deals.
Alex Morgan going to Spurs is a complete madness, isn't it? Like, that seems like it seems so weird to me that that's where she ended up, and one of the big powerhouses didn't
get in there first. Yeah, I mean, it may be a salary cap thing. I mean, there is a salary cap. I think there's a lot of ways the clubs bend the rules on this one. It's a proportion of revenue, and given that most of these teams don't make very much at all, it's likely that the fee that Alex Morgan or any of the other big stars coming over are making is probably more than the salary cap in total. Yeah. Right? So, for a sort of mid-ranked Women's Super League club, it would be about £150,000 for the whole squad for the year.
The craziest signing of the summer for me was this time last year. I don't know if you remember us having a conversation about Alex Greenwood, where I said, I saw some people being critical of her for leaving on social media. It's you got to kind of accept that if a player wants to move from Man United to Lyon, that's a very reasonable move. But she has now played for Everton, Liverpool, United and City. That is a disgrace.
Yes.
Anyway.
Cancelled.
Alex Greenwood is
cancelled.
Cancelled. Not for a good reason, just because she went from Lyon to City.
Anyway, look, some good performances first few games. On a Batche, I think it is pronounced.
Okay.
I'm no expert, but on a battle, which is a much better Bond name. Very, very good. Right-footed, full-back, played down the left. First couple of games looks a really good upgrade, because United have had a few problems since Greenwood left. Lotte Ockvist didn't really make that position her own. So brought in Lucy Staniforth, a really experienced England international, Alessia Russo, who's been in US football as well, college football, very young English forward, assisted the other day. There's lots of reasons to believe that this is going to be a good season for the women's team.
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure going to be a good season for the league, isn't it? Because, like you said, it's gone from being a kind of, probably in the top 4, maybe top 3. No, top 4, I would say, because Germany, you'd say we're ahead. France, you'd say we're ahead. America, obviously, to being currently the most competitive league in the world. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how all that unfolds.
And there may well be fans back in the stadium. Not yet, but there may well be fans back in the stadium sooner or later, because it's small crowds and so on.
And that is one thing that United have got over pretty much everyone else, because United have really, there's like a section of United support that's really taken the women's team to heart and followed them home and away and all the kind of things that you would expect from United fans. So we should do a bit of a preview, given that we're an hour into the first podcast of the season, on what we think is going to happen in the men's
got
game.
a game midweek as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be bothered to. We're playing Luton. It's going to be unpleasant
Dean Henderson
to watch.
in goal and a bunch of changes, I imagine.
Yeah,
and Luton. Yeah.
I wonder if he could do with treating it as a pre-season game and playing some of the big boys
to get
give
minutes.
Them some minutes, because I think they desperately need them. Actually, I think it's come at quite a good time, that game. But Henderson in goal, definitely, which I'm quite excited to see how that goes, because Dave made the one really good save today from IU, and he saved the pen kind of as well, the first one, but he looked shaky again, and he just does all the time now. So anyway, I guess my first question is, what position in the league will Manchester United finish this season?
So I think it'll be fourth, and I think the context is that, and I don't think that's a negative view, by the way.
No.
So the context is, Chelsea has spent a lot. The reason, and we finished above them on goal difference. Granted, we had a very bifurcated season, for sure. Most
Shout out
points
to the boys.
post-lockdown, and so on. But Lampard now has a lot of strength in depth. I mean, I'm sure they'll sell some. They haven't really sorted out their back line yet. Well, Thiago Silva, 35 years old. Don't know whether that will solve the problem or not, but a huge amount of goals in that team. And his biggest problem is integrating them all and getting the best out of them in the first season. But there's so much talent, so I think something goes wrong for them not to finish third, probably. But we'll be looking over our shoulder. We talked about Spurs. Who knows exactly what kind of tune that Mourinho can get out of them? But Arsenal have started the season in they had a very good result, didn't they, against Fulham? I don't know whether that means much, but they seem to have some togetherness about the squad that they haven't had for some time, let's say. And Aubameyang signing again is a big plus for them, and so on. And Wolves, interesting, they brought in some more young players from Portugal. They've sold Diogo Jota, who's a very good player. Obviously this deal has been done because he's been left out of the squad for the last couple of matches. We'll see whether that works out for them. They've not sold Jimenez, which would have been a big loss, not getting the money they want for him, and they've not sold Adama Traore either.
Yet.
I don't think they will, because it was City that wanted him, and they brought Ferran Torres in instead. So, I mean, for me, it's just about City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United is what I think it will be. You?
Well, I think Liverpool have done really smart business. I think, I guess they might lose Wijnaldum, which is quite a big deal to the way they play. But getting Thiago in, I mean...
Yeah, obviously they've had to bite the bullet on the length of contract, because he'll be 30 this season. They've given him a 4-year contract. But yes, he's obviously an outstanding midfielder. Yeah.
I mean, somebody pointed out on the Ramble, I think, that he hasn't played... I think there's only 2 seasons in his career that he's played over 20 games, so he won't play that much, but he's such an X-factor player and so important to them in big games. I think they are stronger. They're clearly stronger than they were. And City, so they signed Torres. Who else did they sign? Is that it? I can't think of anyone
Nathan
else.
Ake, plugging some of the... And then they're still after I think they bought him as reserve. So I assume they're still after a big name central defender, maybe Bilali, but we'll see. That's the deal. That's the one that's been that's probably the one they want to do. And who else? I just figure they can't be as dysfunctional. They'll have a year for some of their newer signings last year to be even better. Nathan Ake will add something, because even if he is bought as a first reserve, he's definitely not as flaky as John Stones.
Yeah, their previous first reserve. And I know people get very tired of this, but if you look at the expected goals and expected goals conceded from last season, the gap is infinitely smaller than
the points gap. Which is one of the other things. Yeah, I mean, we did. I mean, I think some of that's the model breaking down with how Liverpool play, because I think we talked this time last year about whether Liverpool might go a bit backwards because they were overperforming their XG so much. So clearly that's not right. But I could be wrong. I don't really have a whole bunch of data to back up why I think City might come back a bit stronger this year. I definitely don't think it's going to be an 18-point gap.
No.
For United, I mean, even if United dropped to fourth, I think 15 points from City this season, it's got to be less than that. It's got to be less than that to second. Otherwise, it's a bit of a disaster, honestly. So,
but it's not. I just don't see how it's going to be. So the best case scenario for United. I mean, I'm almost taking today out of the equation. This isn't really. I mean, I'm saying it's not being influenced at all by today. Of course, it is, because that just happened, and humans are influenced by things. But in totality, it really depends what we do in the next 3 weeks in the transfer market. Because if United are relying on their first 15, even, or let's say 13, which it probably currently is about that, we've got massive problems. We've got massive problems as soon as one or two key players get injured. I mean, if Martial got injured, that's not a total disaster because you play Greenwood there. But then you play Greenwood there, you've got to play Dan James on the right. And that is currently a total disaster. Luke Shaw, we're hoping for a miracle with Luke Shaw if he's going to play left back all season and suddenly be good. He's not good defensively. He's not good going forward. That's where he's currently at.
But that's where he's been at for the last 6 years. So that's what we're going to get.
I don't know about 6, but for a good while anyway. And right back, I don't have a problem with having a defensive right back if you compensate for that elsewhere, but that's a big if. Centre back's a massive issue. So we're relying on the front, the magic five, backed up by an Nemanja Matic whose swings between best of and worst of are absolutely spectacular. So really then it becomes about because I agree with you, I don't think fourth is negative. I think fourth is a borderline optimistic, and what we're really hoping for is the quality in United's squad, especially in terms of attacking players, will be enough to keep our heads above. Like, Wolves probably aren't taking a big step forward this season, but maybe they won't take such a big step back either, maybe. Spurs, I think it'd be an absolute miracle if Spurs keep it together for a whole season, given the way that maniac operates. Like, I say this very I always thought this was the case, or I've thought this was the case for a long time, and I think we're going to do some backers content around All or Nothing, and I think we have very good reason to believe that Spurs are not going to be okay this season. Arsenal are the team that properly worry me, and this is reactive. It's a big shout. They've got problems too, but they look incredibly well coached. They look like they've got better and better and better under him.
And we can come back to this if they do sign the defensive midfielder that they really need. That's going to make a big difference. Now, they obviously don't have the cash right now. They're trying to get rid of Guendouzi by the looks of it. Maybe
they are.
It. Yeah. In order to fund that, but if they can pull that deal off, then that will definitely strengthen them. They brought in 2 central defenders this season. Gabriel, we saw, looks a decent player. Don't know much of him. Don't watch a lot of French football. And they've got William Saliba, the young Saint Etienne player, who lots of people rate very highly. So, it looks like they've done some good deals there. And yes, they are coached by someone who may well have identified many of their problems and wants to sort it out.
Yeah, and Fulham are clearly, I mean, I think you said is 9 minutes too soon into the season. Obviously, you were joking, just to clarify this for anyone that wouldn't know that. But is 9 minutes too soon into the season to say that Fulham are going to go down?
But was I, though?
Exactly, because it kind of looked like 9 minutes was long enough to go, think Scott Parker's Fulham are not going to be able to. I mean, they are promoted way ahead of where they should be, really. Anyway, but they didn't. They were obviously not a good team, but Arsenal just scythed through them, and they played. Some of their goals was just really nice build up and attacking play. And Aubameyang signing a new contract is a massive, massive deal for them because he is just pure quality. He is a complete difference maker of a player. So I think my one hot take for this is that Arsenal are a massive threat to Man United's fourth place.
They could be. You know what you're going to get out of William. He's a solid. I mean, again, they've had to bite the bullet and give him a long contract for an older player, but you're going to get 7 out of 10 performances from him every week. And Pepe, well, who knows? 70 million odd was obviously ridiculous last season, but maybe Arteta gets something out of him. Maybe not. But yes, I think you're right. I think they're a threat. Wolves will be about same, but they finished 7th in 2 seasons running, so they're obvious, and they're a good, well-coached side. We know what we're going to get from them. They're not in Europe this time round, right? So
no, they're not. I think you're right. Yeah,
yeah. So they will have fewer of those pointless games that they're playing, and that will probably help them. Still working with a fairly small squad, and they may well have signed half of Portugal by the time the window closes as well. So, yeah.
The other team that we should definitely talk about, I mean, this is definitely recency bias, but I think that Carlo Ancelotti's Everton, and what's his name? I can't remember the name of the owner, but his Everton have finally had a good summer because I think
Farhad Moshi, I think.
That's it, yeah. If we'd signed Alan and James Rodriguez, I'd feel way better about our season than I currently do. Like, both of those players, I would have been more than happy if United had signed them.
Yeah, I mean, James has he's gone to Everton because, one, he knows Ancelotti, but it's not enough because his star has fallen a lot.
Of course, yeah.
Did nothing at Madrid and nothing at Bayern either, really. I mean, I'm being hard, but he had one good season at Madrid. That's basically it. And that's why he's ended up at Everton. But maybe he's going to find his role in life. I mean, he scored a lovely goal today. Was very good against Spurs on the opening weekend. And Ancelotti's getting a tune out of this team. We'll see. We'll see. I'm a big fan of there being a multitude of Brazilian players with very English first names in the Premier League these days. Alan, Fred. There's a few others, I believe.
Yeah, it's good. Well, Richarlison isn't quite, but it's almost. It'd be good if his name was
just call him Ricky.
Yeah. So I'm not. We'll see if Carlo Ancelotti's joyful Everton can close the gap. I mean, they finished 12th last season, so it's a big way to go. But early signs are good for them, but very early in the season, obviously. That's not. I'm not quite going out on a hot take limb like I am with Arteta's Arsenal. So yeah, but I think that United. I don't know if United will finish 4th. I hope so. I think a huge amount depends on what we do. If we get in a left back, I'll go with 4th. If we don't get in a left back, I think we're gonna. If we don't get in 2 more reasonable quality players, I'm saying 6th. For United this season.
538 model has United finishing 4th beyond Leicester, who we didn't actually mention, did we? Who lost Chilwell, but I mean they brought in Thomas Castagne, Belgium left back from Atalanta, who's a very attacking left back, so that should be fun. And yeah, we'll see with them. I had a look at spread betting markets earlier this week as well, and I think it basically has United about there as well. So, I mean, I think it will be pretty disappointing if the club doesn't finish in the top 4 again, but I'd be shocked if we're higher than 4th, honestly. And I just, and we can revise this on the 5th of October or whenever the window shuts.
Absolutely.
And have another take then. But as it stands, yeah.
So we do a little thing that we do every year and do a few predictions around big competitions in football in the world. And it's a World Cup year, isn't it, as well? Because
Euros, not World Cup.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not quite in 2022 yet, are we? No, it's the Euros.
So the Euros will be, this season's so compressed because you can't extend it, whatever happens. The Euros got to happen. And then the season after, it should be okay. should be okay. And then the season after that is completely disrupted because of the World Cup in the middle of it.
So it's the 22-23 season? Oh, yeah, because it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's going to be November. Yeah.
Okay.
22, yeah.
So who's going to win the league? You said City. I'm going to say Liverpool. Boo. Who's going to win the FA Cup?
No, United.
Everton. I go with Everton. I think that seems like
it's probably not going to be United. We don't win FA Cups anymore.
Just
sadly,
once under Louis van Gaal's army. League Cup.
Well, City win it every year because they take it seriously and they're the only big team that does. So
you're going to go with City. I'm slightly tempted to give that to stupid Jose, stupid Mourinho, stupid Tottenham Hotspur.
He could do. Yeah, he might have a go at that.
I'll go with the boring option and go City. Who is going to get relegated from the Premier League this season?
Well, I think 2 are West Brom and Fulham.
Yeah.
I mean, just looks like they're quite a lot short. I mean, again, I looked at the spread betting markets and I think they had leads there, but they look, I mean, obviously they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Look like they ship a few goals. It's bonkers game today. It was probably even more bonkers than the one against Liverpool.
It's so wrong.
There seems there's enough there. Villa's an interesting one because they've made a couple of signings, haven't they? I mean, signed Jack Grealish, brought in a forward. They might sign Flappy Surge from us. Ollie Watkins. I mean, it's a big gamble bringing someone out of the Championship because it doesn't often work out, but we'll see. And spend a lot of money on him. Data's Ollie Watkins says that he shoots a lot and will score goals. So we'll see.
If he can,
West Ham, though, the negativity surrounding West Ham right now is spectacular. So I hope it's them.
Yeah, I am going to go with West Brom, West Ham, and Fulham. I think that Data's Ollie Watkins, if he can get like 15 goals, Villa are almost like guaranteed safety in a way. Not quite, but I don't mean that literally. But given what they had last season and Grealish and all that stuff, so those are my 3.
Champions League.
Yeah,
because you've got to care about that one now. I mean, we all thought it was the Europa was where it's at. It may well be again next season, or maybe the European Conference, UEFA Conference.
I don't know how anyone doing an actual prediction based on like trying to guess obviously it's a complete guess thing, but how does anyone go, oh no, I don't think it'll be Bayern Munich this year. Here are 3 good reasons why it won't be Bayern Munich.
I know. Yes, it's most likely Bayern, isn't it? I mean, the interesting thing is Real have not done any deals so far. They're trying to ship players out. I mean, they have this salary cap system in Spain, which is causing them and Barcelona a problem. Barcelona, an absolute hot mess. We haven't talk about him at all.
Yeah, amazing. What a summer. He just tried to be like, no, I can go, right? I'm just allowed to leave. And they were like, no, you can't leave. And he was like, I want to. And my dad said I was allowed.
Yeah, well, he said the president, Bartomeu, had said he could. Yeah, never believe a politician. Okay? Lesson learned. Have it in writing. Yeah.
It was really good when Messi tried to leave Barcelona and then the police tried to arrest Bartomeu for corruption because they was like, right, listen, if you are going to let this man leave our club, we are literally going to throw you in jail. Not metaphorically, we're going to take away your freedom for doing this.
Good, as it should be. Do they have a beat around Manchester at all? Sort out some executives. Yes and no. Very, very fair to point out that obviously the winners of the Champions League will be Bayern, and Europa League can't be Sevilla because they're in the Champions League, I think.
Oh, no. They can finish third in their group.
Yeah, they can finish third in their group, yeah.
Sevilla are going to finish third in their group and win the Europa League.
I mean, next season, when the conference is in play, you could play in 3 different European competitions in the...
No, because once you get relegated into the Europa League, it's too late.
There's going to be there's a cascading system they're bringing in. Yeah.
Ollie's Tricky Reds going to be pioneers.
Oh, I don't know. I hope it's Jose's Spurs. I mean, Joe. I mean,
they've got. They're not getting in the Champions League.
They're playing League Cup and Europa League back to back 2 weeks running. He's like, as soon as they lose the game, it's going to be absolutely magic when they lose to FC Plovdiv in Bulgarian, whoever they're playing in the League Cup.
They nearly lost to FC Plovdiv. They needed a goal from Tanguy Ndombele to win that game.
So whoever they're playing in the next round, who I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably leave it there because it's an hour and 20 minutes into this. But yes, United fourth in both the men and the women's, I'm going to say.
I'll go with third in the women's.
Ooh, you're going to think they're going to topple Arsenal.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, they've got...
Big shout.
Yeah.
Big shout.
I can't remember the name of the unbelievably good striker that Arsenal
Vivian
have got.
Miedema.
Yes, that's it. So they're probably not. Anyway, all right, yeah, fourth. You've talked me into it. No, I don't think they're going to finish fourth. The men's team, I think we're going to finish sixth. So, and I'll revise that if we sign some players. Maybe we've got some good players as it is, but they're going to need to be very fit for a long time. All right, thanks for listening, everyone. We're going to have to be very fit for a long time because, oh my God, we've got to do 2 of these a week for an entire season of what's going to be a heck of a roller coaster. We hope you will accompany us on this journey.
It's going to be fun. I think, look, you said this time last year or beginning of last season.
Fun.
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And this year, we're probably going to be playing some of Europe's best teams. So let's see what Ole can pull out.
Yeah,
Might
absolutely.
be some good nights.
Yeah, there'll be some fantastic goals. There'll be some fantastic football. There'll be games where we're unbelievably on song, and that's going to be really exciting. There'll be games where we're flat and limp, and that's going to be really frustrating. And the club will be owned by very unpleasant people that don't care about its future, and run by quite personally pleasant people with absolutely no competence to do the job. And also Ed Woodward. Oh, that's a real dig at Ollie. I don't even mean that, but anyway. So we shall see what happens. And Patreon backers, stay tuned for
even more.
Yeah, even more content as we.
Everyone else, thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we'll see you after the Luton Town game. We're back, baby.
No question about that.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.